Imagine watching a glowing orb in the sky, and then watching it release other glowing objects in midair. Not science fiction, not a Hollywood movie. An actual incident discussed inside newly released UAP files connected to the latest government disclosures from the Trump administration. And what makes this case disturbing isn't just what the witnesses reportedly saw. It's the fact that the investigators still couldn't fully explain it. Tonight, we examine one of the strangest cases hidden in the new UAP release. Welcome back to the Declassified Archive. This series examines real government files, historical mysteries, intelligence documents, military reports, and unresolved events that continue to raise questions decades later. And tonight's case may be one of the most unusual yet. An orb that appeared to launch other orbs. One of the newly discussed UAP incidents describes an event over the western United States involving what observers reportedly described as glowing orbs-like objects. The case became especially interesting because of the claims that a larger orb appeared to separate or release smaller objects. Now, before we go any further, it's important to stay grounded here. The government did not officially declare this to be an extraterrestrial technology. They did not confirm alien life. They did not claim this was a spacecraft from another world. What they did say was that the object could not be definitively identified with the available information we have. And that distinction matters, because unresolved does not automatically mean alien, but it also does not automatically mean explainable. And that gray area is where these stories become fascinating. Most headlines focused on one phrase: orbs launching orbs. But buried inside discussions surrounding these cases are details many people overlooked. For example, some reports described inconsistent tracking behavior. Others mentioned limited sensor confidence. And in several modern UAP cases, investigators struggled to determine the true altitude, the actual speed, the object size, the propulsion source, and even the thermal signature. That's important because infrared systems can sometimes create visual distortions. Bright objects can bloom. Heat signatures can stretch. Camera sensors can produce strange artifacts, and atmospheric conditions can sometimes create misleading visuals. So skeptics argue, maybe the smaller orbs were not physical objects at all. Maybe there were sensor artifacts, light distortions, compression anomalies, glare effects, or even atmospheric interference. But here's the problem. If the explanation were completely obvious, why classify an incident as unresolved in the first place? Why not simply dismiss it? That's where the mystery deepens. Because investigators apparently believed there was enough uncertainty to keep the case open. What makes this even more strange is how often spherical glowing objects appear throughout history. During World War II, pilots reported mysterious glowing objects known as Foo Fighters. These lights reportedly followed aircraft, maneuvered unpredictably, and sometimes appeared to intelligently react to pilots. Decades later, modern military pilots continue reporting orb-shaped objects. Not giant flying saucers, not massive motherships, orbs. Small, bright, fast, silent. And whether the explanation is advanced technology, atmospheric physics, sensor limitations, or something we still don't fully understand, the pattern itself is difficult to ignore. Different decades, different witnesses, and different locations, yet strange similar descriptions. And this is where the conversation becomes important. Not because we should jump to conclusions, but because we shouldn't. The internet is filled with people screaming, "Alien confirmed, aliens confirmed, aliens confirmed." But serious investigation requires something harder: patience. Because sometimes mysterious turns out to have ordinary explanations. But sometimes they remain unresolved for years. What makes this particular case fascinating isn't certainty, it's uncertainty. Something unusual was apparently observed, something investigators could not fully explain. And now those files are finally reaching the public. So what do you think? Love to hear your comments. Was it simply misunderstood infrared footage? A sensor anomaly? Experimental military technology? Or something genuinely unexplained? Were these spirits or angels from another dimension? This is only the beginning. Because the deeper we go into these released files, the stranger the stories become. Subscribe to Declassified Archive and step inside the mysteries history tried to bury.